What's up everyone? Kalian lagi dengerin Kepo tapi Peduli alias KTP The Podcast, di mana gue, Dina, dan Josephine kepoin cewek-cewek Indo who are doing hot girl shit. Kita kembali lagi dengan episode baru, dan kali ini kita ditemenin Nadine Anbita Siregar. Nadine adalah CEO dan salah satu co-foundernya Generation Girl, which is a non-profit yang misinya adalah ngajarin generasi baru perempuan-perempuan yang bakal bisa jago coding dan juga siap jadi pemimpin dimanapun mereka berada. Gak heran dong kalau Nadine udah termasuk di listnya Forbes 30 Under 30, tapi gak cuma di Indonesia, but di seluruh Asia. Hari ini kita kepoin pengalamannya Nadine memimpin Generation Girl. Hai Nadine, welcome to KTP.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Excited to be here.
We're very excited to have you.
Very excited to have you here.
I feel like we already vibe and we haven't even started.
Yes, and our dogs already bonded, so you know.
Obviously, Generation Girl is doing so much cool work. Can you tell us the elevator pitch?
Yeah, so Generation Girl adalah komunitas udah berdiri sejak 2018 dan kita komunitas yang ingin ngajarin skills dasar ke anak-anak perempuan because we want to somehow improve their skills for them to become future leaders. Kita juga mau memotivasikan dan menginspirasikan mereka supaya mereka confident untuk jadi pemimpin masa depan.
Jadi nggak cuman belajar STEM doang ya?
Enggak, kebanyakannya sih orang pikir, yeah, that's all we do, right? Most of the people are like, oh, we're just a coding boot camp, we just teach girls how to code, and that's really, really not what we do at all. Kita sebenarnya lebih fokusnya di skills dasarnya, jadi kita mau ngajarin anak-anak perempuan ini problem solving, critical thinking, like I said, increasing their confidence, gimana caranya mereka bisa berkomunikasi sama orang juga, because menurut kita di Generation Girl, you don't just need the technical skills to be a good leader, right? Like you actually need to know how to speak to people, you need to know how to, empathize with them. So those are really the skills that we're trying to teach, but the way that we teach it, so it's a little bit more like fun and like a little bit more engaging, is through the STEM subjects.
And obviously Generation Girl tuh dibangun untuk mengisi gender gap di industri teknologi kan ya. Emang apa sih untungnya untuk perempuan-perempuan masuk ke bidang STEM?
Menurut aku sih ini bukan cuman, this isn't an advantage for just women ya. Like obviously if we have more women, especially women leaders in these male-dominated fields, it will increase the image of women especially in Indonesia. But menurut aku sih yang lebih powerful lagi, this is actually something that will help Indonesia in the long run juga gitu, because if you have more diversity, especially in leadership positions, that is a way for us to think a little bit more outside the box and have a little bit more creative solutions so that, Indonesia can really thrive, especially in this economy, right? In this digital economy right now. I think a lot of like diversity talk and everything like that, it's really easy for us to just say like, oh, women should be leaders because like, we can be, and like we're just as good as men, but it's actually also like for the country, right? And it's for the future as well.
Tech is all about innovation, and I think if we're only like who is leading it is just like one type of person, you're not really gonna get a lot of innovation, so to say, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm totally in agreement with you. And lo tadi mention about women being leaders, and that's the point of Generation Girl. Apa lo selalu ada perasaan bahwa you're actually gonna build Generation Girl yourself and be the leader of Generation Girl?
Oh my gosh, no, definitely not. Like if you told me 5 years ago that this is where I would be, that I would be recording this podcast with you guys, like talking about something that I made, jujur aku kayak shock sih. Aku pasti kayak enggak, like I would not believe you guys. You know what I mean? Soalnya, no, like I honestly sometimes like, do you sometimes just like you're in the shower and then you like look back on your life and you're like, how did I get here?
Yes, like, I think about that every day.
Yes.
Like it's so crazy. Like I have no idea. Tapi ya kan soalnya background aku dulunya technical banget kan. Aku di BU tuh CS Computer Science. Jadi itu benar-benar kayak engineering banget. Aku technical banget. And then of course pas pindah ke Jakarta kan aku kerja sebagai product engineer kan, like mostly in iOS. And then when we started Generation Girl, when all of this like bener-bener pas kita bikin Generation Girl, aku sama teman-teman aku itu kayak cuman side project aja, kayak kita cuman oh my god, like let's just do something fun, you know, like maybe some CSR, some community service to kind of help people. But kita nggak kayak mulai, oh we wanna make a yayasan resmi, kita mau kayak impact all of it, like there was literally none of that. Yeah, I guess they believed in us before we even believed in ourselves, right? And they were the ones who kind of drove that innovation. And they were the ones who were like, kalian tahu nggak, like you actually have something very special on your hands, gitu. Jadi pas kita growing banget, and aku masih lagi kerja di Gojek, aku kayak harus pilih salah satu gitu, because I was so burnt out. Like I was basically working like 2 jobs in 2 very different contexts, right? Jadi aku kayak ini susah banget sih kalau misalnya sehari-hari aku harus kerjain technical yang product gitu, terus pas malamnya I have to completely switch and switch on my leader brain, right, my CEO brain. And then aku kayak I have to like do budgeting, I have to have partnership meetings, I have to like do all this stuff, and I was like susah banget sih. Jadi ya pas aku pilih satu, I figured kalau misalnya di Gojek, anyone can do my job, right? As long as you have the technical skills, like, ya udah, it's fine. But I felt like it was my responsibility to move Genji forward because, like, yeah, it's like by aku kan.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna have someone else raise my baby, you know? Like, I felt like I needed to do it myself, so.
Dude, kudos to you. What is your vision and mission sebagai pemimpin untuk Genji?
Buat aku, untuk jadi pemimpin yang bagus, you have to think about other people. Like being a leader is not about yourself, right? You being a leader is to help other people. So menurut aku, kalau misalnya komunitas kita dan tim internal kita juga, if they're happy, if they're learning, if they're thriving, I feel like I've done my job well, right? I don't mind misalnya kayak kalau misalnya aku harus sacrifice beberapa like my time or my effort, or if I even like my finances gitu, like I don't mind as long as it's helping the community and it's helping the team, you know, because for me it's like kalau misalnya ada banyak orang, cuma menurut aku aja ya, ada banyak orang yang mungkin mau mulai sesuatu atau mungkin mau jadi pemimpin, tapi mereka maunya buat diri mereka sendiri, buat egonya mereka, you know what I mean? And I don't think that doesn't make you a good leader at all, because then like you don't make those sacrifices, you don't think creatively outside of the box because you're like in your shelter, right, in your bubble. So buat aku sih visi misi my personal visi misi buat jadi pemimpin di Genji itu ya harus bantuin orang lain gitu, itu nomor 1.
Ada gak pengalaman selama lo dari mulai sampai sekarang jadi leader yang maybe really changed the way you look at leadership? Like, was there any kind of experience that really changed you, atau mungkin like a huge learning from being a leader?
Yeah, so I actually took a leadership class in my S2. Jadi salah satu kelas yang aku harus ambil itu, it's called the altruistic leader. I'm not even gonna try to translate that to bahasa. Like, I have no idea what that would be. So it's called the altruistic leader. And what we learned is how to be more of an adaptive leader. Jadi contohnya kalau misalnya aku lagi menjadi pemimpin untuk orang A dan orang B, itu nggak selalu sama, ya kan? Because their needs are gonna be very different. So for me, like I think one of the most quote-unquote life-changing things that I learned in that class is like you can't use the same methods, or you can't be the same leader for every single person, right? Like if, for example, there's one person who needs a little bit more hand-holding, but then there's another, like their exact counterpart, and they actually like, they know what they're doing, they really don't like being micromanaged, like you have to adapt yourself, and you have to adjust yourself based on apa yang mereka perlu gitu. So again, like kembali lagi ke untuk menjadi pemimpin itu bukan like nggak harus mikirin diri kamu sendiri atau metode buat kamu jadi pemimpin
that works for you gitu ya.
That works for you, exactly. Because I used to think like that so much. Like, I think a lot of the, like when we first started Gen G, it was really tough for me to be a leader because one, I never had to be one, right? Because I was like the lowest of the lowest at Gojek, right? Kayak, who am I gonna lead to? So
lowest in the totem pole.
Exactly, I was the absolute lowest. And then nomor 2 tuh kayak, that's how I thought, like, oh, kalau aku sebagai what's the opposite of pemimpin? Like as a follower, right? If I don't like being micromanaged, I don't like being handheld. Like I like figuring things out on my own, right? Because that's how I learn. Jadi I treated my entire team the exact same way, and that wasn't what they needed, you know. And so then there were some people who were very similar to me who strived, tapi juga ada kebalikannya. Ada beberapa orang yang because they needed the hand-holding, because they needed a little bit more guidance, they didn't strive at all on our team. And so it was really like once I started to figure that out and kind of adjust the type of leader I was based on like who I was talking to, that's kind of when like the whole team started, you know, coming together.
Thriving,
Exactly.
Yes.
Sir thriving. That's like that's my word for COVID. I'm Sir thriving.
Have you guys heard sliving?
Yes.
What is sliving?
Yes.
Wait, what's sliving?
Sliving is by Paris Hilton, where she said it's like slaying and living your best life. So Nadine is sliving.
Wait,
This shows you who spends too much time on social media versus who is actually doing great work.
Specifically on trash TV shows.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so what I'm curious about is, do you have any role models when you were leading Gen Z?
Yeah, so I have 2 different types of role models. Yang role model pertama tuh yang very like out of this world, crazy, like 0.001%, right? So those ones are obviously like Michelle Obama, Melinda Gates, right? Like those are like the, oh my God, if I could ever meet you, I think I would just cry myself to sleep every night, right? So there's that kind of role model. But then the ones that I actually learn the most from are my attainable role models. So the attainable role models itu kayak di dalam lingkungan diri aku sendiri, like itu, those are the women that I work with every day or I interact with every day, and those are the ones that I actually learn a lot from. And kayak biasanya sih aku nggak kayak cuman ada satu role model, aku ada role model untuk situasi berbeda gitu. So contohnya tuh kayak for example my mother, like she was the one who taught me like you are a strong independent woman. She was like Tina Knowles for me, right? For Beyonce.
We love
so
that.
Like she was the one, yeah, so she was the one who like basically taught me like if you want to do something, like go figure it out yourself, you know, like nobody's gonna give you, even though you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, nobody's gonna give you anything. And then with my sister, like I saw like she is just so much nicer than I am. So she's the one who like teaches me empathy. She's the one who like just teaches me how to be a little bit nicer to people, if that makes sense. And then like from my co-founders, like just different situations, I'm like, we just learn and bounce from each other. Like Tanya, my co-founder, and I, like she and I just work so well because we're very similar, but we're also like opposites. Like how we treat different situations are so different, and so we kind of bounce off like one another. And like whenever she is like, oh, like I know that this isn't in your job description, but like I know that you're better at this than I am. Like, can you help me with this? And I'll kind of do the same thing. And just kind of having her around is just like, yeah, she's definitely one of my biggest attainable role models for sure. Because like sometimes I'm like, oh my God, what would Tanya do in this situation? WWTD, right?
You definitely need a partner like that, though.
100%.
Like,
Have you also like learned things from the people you lead? Karena tentu banyak hal, kadang-kadang kalau misalnya lu nge-lead, orang-orang belajar dari lu, tapi ada gak hal yang lu belajarin dari orang-orang yang lu lead?
Yeah, so much. And I think, again, it's because like when you're a leader, you have to, you're leading other people and you kind of like bounce off one another juga kan. And dari mereka sih aku belajar banyak gimana caranya beradaptasi untuk setiap situasi atau setiap orang gitu. But they like, oh my gosh, like sometimes it's really funny because I will kind of like preach something and then I'll accidentally do the opposite of what I like preach. So, and then they keep me in
Give
check.
us examples.
Okay, so like my team and I, like this is also like a very personal like me problem as well, but I kind of projected it onto the team. We say sorry so much and it's so unnecessary. So actually di dalam internal tim Generation Girl kita punya sesuatu namanya sorry jar.
Oh my
Sorry jar
god.
itu setiap kali ada orang yang bilang sorry and it's in a context yang seharusnya nggak boleh. You have to pay like 10.000 ke dalam GoPay-nya Genji or something like that. Basically it's like sorry jar, right? Supaya kayak habit ini nggak kayak itu lagi. I'm pretty sure I was the one who told everyone about the sorry jar. I'm probably the one who has donated the most money into this sorry jar.
Kayaknya itu culture gak tau sih Indo atau mungkin Asian aja gitu kali, kita gak enakan kan orangnya yang kayak dikit gak enak. Even like moving to America, like it was definitely something that I had to struggle with. It's like saying sorry to everything, even like things that I shouldn't be sorry for, like my English or something. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Yeah.
whenever I write something like an email, text, or Slack with a sorry, I usually have to like redraft it. Like, okay, I can't send that. Like, I should just delete the sorry and like totally change the whole context. But dude, saying sorry is almost like second nature to me. It's bad.
Yeah, kan? Yeah, I know. And it's like, I think that's like you said, like that's such an Asian thing, I think, or like a very Indo thing, kayak nggak enakan banget. And I do that like I actually do the exact same thing. Before I send an email, and for me, it's not just sorry. I think like I do a lot of exclamation points. I do a lot of
Oh my
like
gosh,
smiley
me too.
faces. Yeah, kan?
Yes, 100%. Just to like make people feel better. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Like,
I'm so friendly and
I'm
approachable.
enthusiastic.
Especially when like I have to follow up with someone about something, right? Like if they didn't get back to me for like a couple of weeks and I'm like, hi, just like following up, I'm like, hi, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Like, can you please answer me back? And then I'm like, no, delete. And I'm like, please get back to me soon. You know, like you kind of have to like retrain your brain.
I
right?
always tell myself, you gotta channel your white man's confidence within you.
Yes.
Amen, sister.
I only allow myself to give one exclamation mark per email now. Just like, you can't do two. I just do one.
Yeah.
Max
Do
is
you
one
still
emoji.
do the smileys? Okay, I was about to ask.
Which
One
one?
emoji. Like one smiley
Emoji.
face.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think I do a lot of emojis, but like, you know those like smiley face yang pakai titik dua sama tanda kurung?
Yeah.
It's like the passive aggressive smile. It's like, get back to me.
Or like if they like email you and the information that they ask for is literally in another email and you're like,
Oh
as
my
per my last email,
Yeah.
smiley face.
It gives you a lot of satisfaction when you're able to do that though.
It is a power move for sure.
Learning a lot here.
We're talking about work culture, especially you leading Gen Z. Ada nggak sih tantangan yang lo rasain as a leader, especially yang terkait dengan perbedaan culture as you grew up in Singapore, terus mungkin orang-orang yang lo lead usually nggak from that upbringing juga.
Ya, itu sesuatu sebenarnya yang susah banget, bukan cuma di tim internalnya, tapi untuk aku connect sama komunitas kita gitu, because a lot of the people that are in our community juga they didn't grow up overseas. They didn't, you know, like my Indo is like, yeah, setengah-setengah lah. I'm getting better, right? But like I didn't grow up speaking Indo like fluently every day gitu. Jadi, so contohnya yang pertama tuh, so our programs, the participants namanya rookies, and that's a very like American word, right? And so the like when we first started marketing our very first program in like 2018-an, ada banyak banget orang tua yang kayak rookie tuh apa ya? You know, and like they didn't understand, mereka nggak ngerti konteksnya. A rookie is like someone who's like a beginner, who's still learning, ya kan?
Mungkin mereka malah mikir ini panjangannya apa ya?
Iya,
Soalnya orang Indo kan suka dipendek-pendekin kan.
betul. Yeah. So that like that was like one of the very first things that I learned was that, walaupun aku sebagai orang Indonesia, tapi upbringing aku atau lingkungan aku mungkin nggak the same as most people.
Yeah.
Dulunya social medianya kan kayak I just did it myself. Jadi semuanya pakai bahasa Inggris, soalnya aku belum pede untuk pakai bahasa Indo kan. Jadi kayak the people that we were getting following our social medias, yeah, of course were people like me, right? Who were like Indo, who speak very good English, who maybe like were working overseas or whatever, and I was like, this isn't the demographic that we wanted. So I ended up having to hire someone who I could talk to, so had to be fluent in English, right?
Yes.
Tapi udah kayak upbringingnya somewhat more relatable for the community gitu. And dia yang fully transform our social media. And I think that was one of the things sebagai pemimpin yang aku harus belajar itu. Aku nggak bisa kerjain semuanya. I have to find people also who can, like you guys said, like kind of fill in those gaps, right? Like aku sama Tania sebagai co-founders, we click very well yin and yang, soalnya kayak dia bisa kerjain sesuatu yang aku nggak bisa kan. Tapi bukan cuma leader di tim pemimpinnya aja, the other roles in the organization, semuanya mereka juga harus kayak ngerti job description-nya mereka, and they have to be very good at it. Soalnya aku nggak bisa bantuin mereka juga kan, maksudnya kayak if they're like, oh, like what kind of campaign should we do, or like how should I word this like caption, and I'm like I can't even read it, like aku harus Google Translate juga, mau aku bantuin ya udah boleh,
Dude, doing social media in a different language is next level, because like my Indo is just slang at this point. It's so bad, like to write something yang previously I was also in social media for Gojek, terus kayak just the caption, I have to like get a lot of people to read it before I can like be okay with it, because I'm like always insecure.
Opposite problem. So like because I took bahasa classes, so my Indo is very formal. And so then like when I try to write something, it's like very formal, like Indo, and then my team is like, Kak, ini pakai Google Translate ya? And I'm like, no, I wrote it myself. And they're like, kok kenapa pakai kayak gini? Ini aneh. Like the wording is very weird. And I'm like, yeah, okay, you guys write it yourself. I can't help you. I'm not doing this.
Mau jadi hip susah, mau jadi serius juga susah ya. Semua tuh
Kayak harus ada balance-nya.
They called you out.
They are so good at keeping me in check. Seriously, like I love it.
Yeah, and you need that.
Yeah, that's another thing about leadership is like we're a very flat organization, right? Like even though we have like leaders and we have whatever, we still empower everyone to just speak up, like, if they have any opinions, if they have any ideas, like please do not feel bad to tell us, right? And like because we are very flat, I think we're like kind of growing together. So I don't mind being vulnerable. I don't mind telling them that I don't know what to do, because I think it helps to empower them to be like, oh, okay, even leaders still make mistakes, right? Or even leaders still have things to learn. And itu kayak bantu nge-build confidence-nya mereka juga, bahwa kayak, oh, mungkin aku juga bisa jadi leader walaupun aku masih belum perfect, or aku masih belum terlalu ada banyak pengalaman gitu.
Yeah,
kan.
for sure. And I love what you said about like you being vulnerable and like you're accepting that walaupun lu seorang leader, lu juga mungkin bisa make mistakes, right?
Oh, all the time.
So I was wondering, di mana posisi lu sebagai leader? Ada gak identitas lu sebagai wanita atau identitas lu sebagai orang Indonesia yang affect the way you lead?
Oh my God, that is a good question. Okay, my identity, or like my relationship with myself as an Indonesian woman has changed so much in the last like 27 years of life, right? Soalnya dulunya tuh kayak, ya aku emang dari dulu, aku 15-16 tahun di Singapura. Jadi dulu tuh kalau misalnya ada orang yang tanya, oh kamu dari mana? Aku selalu bilang Singapura gitu kan. And I didn't really like fully embrace my Indonesian culture sampai aku udah di sini gitu. And like I was kind of forced to come to terms with being Indonesian because aku selalu dijailin sama my friends gitu yang di sini, mereka kayak make a joke yang sedikit lebih receh. They will be like, oh, Nadine wouldn't understand, dia kan bule. And it like kind of, that was like a challenge for me, you know, like that was such a challenge for me. And I was like, oh, you think that I'm bule? Ya udah, aku belajar aja gimana caranya supaya aku bisa lebih Indonesian, so that I'm more confident in myself. Like, I'm actually very proud of myself in that, ini ya walaupun setengah pakai bahasa Inggris ya, tapi kayak aku sekarang udah lumayan confident di mana aku bisa kayak I can do podcast, I can do speaking engagements pakai bahasa Indonesia. Like 2-3 tahun yang lalu tuh aku nggak bisa sama sekali, like not at all. It wasn't even like a language barrier, it was a confidence barrier, right? Like I didn't feel Indonesian enough that like I could represent myself well in like a speaking setting. You know, so like as a leader, I like challenges, right? I like to learn things. I don't feel comfortable being comfortable. Kalau misalnya ada orang yang nge-challenge aku and bilang, kamu bukan orang Indonesia, kamu bule banget. And so I'm like, watch me. Let me see what I can do, right?
Love that.
Here's to all my haters.
Exactly.
You know?
What helped you the most to learn bahasa?
I got a teacher.
Amazing.
Yeah, because doing speaking engagements or like doing press or media and then like ngobrol-ngobrol kayak gini aja tuh beda banget kan, like language-nya, tapi juga kayak how you're supposed to present yourself gitu kan. Jadi aku I got a teacher aja. Like when I was living in Singapore, I had this shout out to Miss Sally, my old Indonesian teacher.
Yes, Sally.
Yes, Miss Sally. So I hope she's proud of me now. But yeah, because I didn't know how else to learn kan. Kalau misalnya aku cuma ngobrol-ngobrol sama teman-teman aku aja ya, it helps me with my conversational Indo, tapi it doesn't help me with my like, you know, like when I have to be a nice presentable lady, you know,
like a professional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as you can see, like I am the complete opposite of that, right? Like I use too many hand gestures. I'm wearing a shirt that says nasi goreng, you know, like
Indo pride.
Hey, that's what makes you
Exactly.
approachable.
This is my Indo pride right here, nasi goreng.
Gimana menurut kalian episodenya? Lumayan seru kan guys? Kali ini kita ada sponsor dari gue. Jangan lupa untuk follow kita and show some love di Instagram dan TikTok @ktpthepodcast. Dan kalian kalau ada kesan dan pesan untuk gue atau Josephine, jangan sungkan guys, langsung aja komen or DM. Karena mumpung adminnya masih gue sama Josephine doang. Lol, manifesting guys. Anyways, oke, kita balik lagi ke poin Nadine.
Tadi kan lo mention lo di Singapura, abis itu lo sempat sekolah di Amrik. Dari pengalaman-pengalaman lo pindah di beda-beda negara ini, what were the things that you feel like you learned from each places, and like what were the things that you realize you wanted to keep, and then things that lo sekarang udah di Indo, actually these are things that I don't really want to keep from these places.
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, general aja ya. Kalau kan aku dulu pindah-pindah, terus my parents tuh juga suka traveling, so like we used to travel a lot when I was a kid, and I think it really helped me because like I said, I'm not comfortable in comfortable situations. Kalau misalnya aku harus kayak punya experience baru atau like I'm in a situation that I've never been in, I'm not really afraid of that, right? Because like I used to have to do that a lot. Like my parents literally used to bring my sister and me to like summer camp or summer school, and mereka kayak bener-bener cuma di airport terus kayak bye, see you in like 2 months, and then ya udah aku kayak pergi aja sendiri for just to like to camp, to you know meet new people, to do whatever I was doing, and like ya udah gitu, kayak for me that was very normal. Jadi contoh aja dulu pas aku ganti dari product engineer sampai like CEO-nya Generation Girl, to me like even though that was such a large jump, it was like ya udah gitu, like that's just kind of how life is, right? Like I wasn't scared to make that jump, it was just something that happened that I had to adapt to. So like to answer your question of like apa yang mungkin pas dari setiap negara, mungkin itu adaptasinya ya, mungkin aku bisa lebih beradaptasi di situasi-situasi lebih dari orang lain gitu, because like I really don't mind, and like from working in Singapore, living in the US, kayak there's a lot of like different cultures, right? And I'm very good at adapting myself in those kinds of situations where, contohnya kalau misalnya aku lagi di Singapura, aku Singlishnya very good. Like I can speak Singlish, I can get myself around, right?
Yeah.
My Singlish kind of comes out when I'm home, right? And then kalau misalnya aku di Amerika, yeah, of course I become very American, right? Like I can talk to people and I'm like very like, yeah, I'm talking to you guys right now, except like my English is like 20 times faster. Like I literally speak like, sometimes people are like, whoa, calm down. Like I have no idea what you're saying right now. And then pas aku pindah ke Indo, ya walaupun menurut aku lebih susah ya, walaupun aku orang Indonesia, itu lebih susah buat aku beradaptasi, tapi yeah, I did it anyway, you know, like I took that challenge, I was able to do it. Something that I wouldn't keep, kayaknya aku mau keep semuanya experience aku di dalam setiap negara sih, soalnya that made me who I am today, right? Like the good experiences, the bad experiences, the experiences that I didn't think mattered, walaupun kayak it shaped who I am today, right? And like you learn from every experience. Kita juga harus belajar dalam setiap situasi kan. And menurut aku it's all good at that point as long as you learn from everything. Like I think it's really important for us to embrace not just the good situations but also embrace the not so great situations, because that's where we kind of like our true self comes out kan. Problem solving kita, critical thinking kita, confidence di diri kita sendiri itu it all comes out kalau misalnya kita di dalam situasi yang mungkin kita nggak mau, we're not comfortable in, right? So yeah, I'd keep everything.
100%.
Even the bad ones, and there were lots of bad ones.
So karena lo udah pindah-pindah dari tempat-tempat yang berbeda banget gitu ya. Kalau buat lo sendiri setelah mengalami semua perjalanan ini, what does home means to you? Like how do you define where home is?
I don't think that I have just one home. Oh my god, no. Okay, I'm not gonna call myself a global citizen right now. That just sounds so annoying. I'm not doing that. For the record, in this podcast, okay, I am not calling myself a global citizen, nor am I calling myself a third culture kid. That is also one of the phrases. Aku udah kayak enggak banget. Kayak,
Ladies and gentlemen, she is self-aware. Okay.
I'm very self-aware. Oh my goodness. Nggak mau. For home, I think it means a lot of different things, right? Like I think this is also gonna sound so cliche, but I think my home is like where people I care about are, right? So like my parents' home, like my parents' house in Jakarta, to me is now home, because like that's where they are, that's where they're based, right? Bali has somewhat become a home juga, because I've learned so much in the last like year here living by myself than I have in like, I don't know, like 5 years living in Indo, living in my parents' house, being very sheltered, gitu kan. Jadi kayak for me, there's also a part of me that feels Bali is somewhat home juga. Obviously, Singapore is always gonna be my childhood home, right? Like, that's where basically all my formative years, like that's kind of where I grew up. So mau nggak mau, ya itu jadi home juga. Jadi menurut aku sih, it's experiences and it's core memories that make a place home, rather than kayak, okay, rumah aku di sini itu berarti aku my home di sini. No, so I think for me it's more so like the core memories and where the people I care about are. That's kind of where my home is.
And I think the big part of being home, or the feeling of home, is like the community that you find and you like are with usually, right? Like if you have a good core of friends wherever, like even if you're so far away from your family, that kind of helps to feel like more like home.
Yeah.
Tiba-tiba wise ya.
Iya. Tiba-tiba sentimental gitu, sis. Mantap. Cakep. So how do you deal with differences? I think more like things that you don't really agree with fundamentally. Like how do you deal with that?
This is a personal challenge for me because I have zero poker face. Like I am a terrible liar. So all of my emotions just show on my face. And like, you can tell when I'm really annoyed, or you can tell when I don't agree with something.
Which I think is very not Indo.
Oh my
like,
God, no.
Indo is all about the poker face, keeping a straight face.
Yeah. I've gotten into trouble so many times. Like, genuinely, I've gotten into trouble so many times because I don't have a poker face. And my mom is like, kamu gak sopan banget. And I'm like, but they're wrong. Like, what? You know? Like, what do you mean? But yeah, so how I deal with those is like, okay, contoh aja, I'm not the kind of person who will push my ideas or my ideals onto someone else. Kayak, you have your own opinions and you're very entitled to that. All I can do is just like, kalau misalnya mau ngomong sama orang yang mereka tuh stubborn juga, itu susah banget kan. And it's like kayak ngomong sama tembok gitu. Like there's no point in just telling people. So what I like to do when I am dealing with someone yang fundamentally I don't agree with, or maybe like fundamentally they don't think that they don't agree with me as like a person gitu, because there have been a lot of times like that. I show them rather than tell them that what I'm doing is like right, if that makes sense. So like contoh aja kayak aku pernah like go to this meeting with this like very big company, and aku kan lagi kayak mau ngomong partnership sama mereka kan. Their head of partnerships, who was like this very important guy, he like came into the meeting and dia tuh nggak percaya bahwa Generation Girl itu yayasan aku. Dia kayak, oh tapi kan kamu kan cewek, kamu masih kecil, ini emangnya punya siapa, ini bukannya punya orang tua kamu, terus kamu cuma jadi face-nya aja. And I was like, no, this is my organization. And he was like, yeah, I don't really believe you, bukan believe sih, tapi he was just like a surprise aja that we as young people can do something, you know, like that we are really passionate about gitu. Jadi instead of, this is kind of petty, see, instead of working with them, we worked with one of their competitors, and we built like a program that was like very impactful gitu. And then the next year I went back to them and I was like, ya tahun lalu kita kan mau coba partnering sama kalian buat program ini, tapi ya Mas bla 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 bilang dia nggak mau kerja sama kita kan, tapi ini lihat nih, look at the impact that we did. Kalian mau nggak partner sama kita tahun ini?
Love that.
Standing ovation for Nadine, please.
So like you have to show them, right? Because it's like, if you just tell them, yeah, words are just words, you know, like words have no meaning, they have zero value. You have to like actually put action behind those words, and then people will listen. Aku tuh nggak pernah orang yang misalnya like you like the color blue and I'm like, oh no, but you have to like red. Like, I'm not gonna tell you have to like red. I'm gonna show you why red is the right color for you. I am petty. I'm so sorry. Oh no, I'm not sorry. Sorry, Jar.
If you turn your pettiness into something that's that powerful, like who can tell you not to be petty, girl? Like, you be petty all you want.
I don't think it's petty at all. You know, like you can either be demotivated by your haters, or you can use that energy to actually motivate you, right? To like achieve what you want. Itu kata Cinta Laura kalau nggak salah, kemarin gue baru nonton video.
Asik.
Ko Cinta Laura, shout out next time ya podcast kita.
Nice soft selling. I like it.
Okay, last question. Kita penasaran apa artinya untuk Nadine untuk menjadi orang Indonesia?
Kalau misalnya orang mikir orang Indonesia, mungkin mereka mikirnya yang sedikit lebih tradisional kan. They're quiet, they're timid. Tapi menurut aku sekarang sebenarnya there's a new wave of young Indonesian youth. Bukan cuma wanita aja ya, tapi like the next generation of Indos, they're so technologically savvy. Mereka tuh kayak hacker mindsetnya tuh ada banget. Like, they're actually really good problem solvers. Iya nggak sih? Kayak,
guys, it started from LimeWire.
oh my gosh. Actually though, so true. like our hacking abilities, I think like are just so good. Like they know just like the way, like they're so wily, right? And in a good way gitu. And menurut aku tuh mereka empowered banget juga. I think they're just a little bit more self-aware, maybe because of the kan di Instagram aja, di TikTok aja informasinya tuh udah kuat banget. And menurut aku itu ya, walaupun some people might say it's dangerous, for me I think it's empowering because they can learn on their own terms and they can make their own opinions at a very young age and do something about it. Banyak banget orang yang email kita and mereka kayak, Kak aku mau dong bikin yayasan kayak gini, atau Kak gimana sih caranya bikin komunitas seperti ini. These are kids that are like in high school. And I'm like, I wish I had your drive when I was your age. I feel like I would just be so much further in life now if I knew what my passion was and I had the drive to do something about it when I was much younger. Menurut aku, untuk what it means to be Indonesian, there's definitely going to be a new wave of bukan cuma leaders ya, impactful leaders that's happening in Indonesia. Soalnya
last call, essentially. What are your hopes and dreams for Gen Z?
I have so many. I need to like winnow them down actually.
Dream big.
I dream a little too big. That's why Tanya is really good at like, okay, bring it down. Like I said, number one itu bantu orang sih. Soalnya menurut aku di Indonesia sekarang wanita tuh they're put into this box. You have to fit into this box in some way, shape, or form. And for us, we don't want to break the box. We just want to make the box bigger.
Yes.
Right? I understand that you can't just, shatter stereotypes. You have to do it a little bit slower and you have to be very patient with it. Untuk aku sih, visi misi buat Generation Girl, kalau misalnya kita bisa bikin box itu sedikit lebih besar, dan the role of women in society can adjust a little bit to the modern times, I think we've done our job well. Aku mau semuanya di Indonesia, dari Surabaya, dari Papua, dari Medan, mereka tuh semuanya harus tahu bahwa you can be Indonesian, you can be an Indonesian woman, but an empowered one, and do whatever you want to do.
Love that. Amazing.
Well, that essentially concludes our time with you. Terima kasih banyak Nadine untuk waktunya. We had so much fun talking to you. We hope you had as much fun as we did.
You guys were okay, I guess. I didn't have that much fun.
Thanks.
That's fine. Leave a 1-star review on Yelp, so no one comes to our podcast anymore,
Enggak lah, 5 bintang.
Thank you.
Kalau kalian pada penasaran tentang Generation Girl and mau check them out, check them di generationgirl.org. Dan yang mau kepoin tentang Nadine, unfortunately, Nadine nggak ada Instagram personal, so kalian bisa kepoin Nadine di It's Blue the Melted Poo, which is anjingnya Nadine dan juga maskotnya Generation Girl. Dan Nadine kali ini lagi ada challenge untuk ngepost every day untuk the next month. So you'll see more updates from
Blue the Melted Poo.
We'll see how that goes. Okay, she's way more interesting than I am because she lives a much better life than I do. So, honestly, her content is prime.
That's Nadine's promise. Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by... Just kidding, nggak ada sponsor kita guys. Belum punya sponsor. Jadi untuk sementara follow and show some love di Instagram sama TikTok @KTP The Podcast. Until next time.